All right, here's one of our running finals of the day, the women's 5,000. There are the collegiate and meet records. And altitude will take a toll on this field of 16 runners as we look at Katelyn Tuohy, who has really been the distance star of this 2023 season.
You're exactly right, Dwight. She has spent the indoor season going toe-to-toe with some of the best professional runners in the country. She set that NCAA 3K record at the Millrose Games, the NCAA mile record at the Dr. Sander Invitational, and when she ran 15:15:92 for 5K at Boston, it was just 2 weeks after her NCAA cross-country win.
She has her Wolfpack teammate in this final as well, Kelsey Jamil, the junior from Saratoga Springs.
She actually has two with her. There is a Wolfpack, three of them in this race. Yes, yeah, three of them all together for Lori Henna's squad. And when I talked with Coach Henna's for a few minutes and asked about the decision on what they would do at the NCAA championship with Katelyn Tuohy, because she had run such an incredible mile, she said this was the most doable double with the way the schedule played out, was to go with the 5K on Friday and then the 3K on Saturday. And you're seeing Mercy Chellengat get out right to the front, an NCAA champion in her own right, both in outdoors over 10,000 meters and in cross country. And you see Tuohy getting right up there with her as well. And then Hilda Olemomoy of Alabama as well. So you've got two of the Roll Tide squad within the top three. Also, eyes on, you can catch that turquoise jersey of New Mexico. That is Amelia Mazza-Downey. And you only get the turquoise jersey for Joe Franklin's squad when you make an appearance in an NCAA championship. You have to earn that, and you don't give it back. You get to keep that one. The rest of the unis, you got to return at the end of the season. But being that she's one who is conditioned, trains at altitude, an immense opportunity for her here on her home track.
That's a nice tradition. Well, a lot of the athletes in the 16-runner field train and live at altitude. There are many, I would say almost half the field does. And Mercy Chellengat, who is up front, hails from Kenya, which is out at altitude, but Alabama, Tuscaloosa is not at altitude, the last time I checked.
In talking strategy with Alabama women's distance coach Nick Stenoff, he said, you got to respect your opponents in this field. There are plenty of women in this field who have run fast recently, but you got to respect the altitude too. You've got to base this race and gauge it on what everyone else kind of does. You can't wait for somebody else to make a move, and when someone does make a move, or if you make a move, you've got to do it efficiently. Control what we can control, dictate our own race. It's great that you have those teammates up there together. You have Olemomoy and Chellengat up there in that lead pack with one another. That's certainly going to help, as they are expected to double back in the 3,000, as is Katelyn Tuohy, but they have different race strategies to execute. Olemomoy has run 15:17 this season, just 2 seconds behind Katelyn Tuohy. She was the SEC runner-up to Lauren Gregory in the 3,000, and she also flexed a little bit of speed at the SEC championships. Hilda Olemomoy did. She split 4:40 on the SEC winning distance medley relay for the Crimson Tide, and she initially didn't want to run it. Stenoff said, just trust me, and just tell me how it feels after you finish. And she said that when she came across first holding that baton, she said, oh yeah, that was pretty fun, now that you think of it.
Well, I guess you could pretty much predict that Mercy Chellengat was going to try and get in the front and slow things down, because she has good foot speed. So the better to just save all that as long as she possibly can. And I'm certain that the smart women in this field are going to know that that's what she's doing and try to turn it into a more honest pace. But the altitude is the X factor here in doing that.
That's why you would think that some of the athletes who are solely focused on the 5,000 and they do not have the 3K to account for tomorrow would be the ones to be aggressive up front, or at least in the midpoint of the race, try to stretch this out and punish those who are going to attempt to double back. So I would be interested to see how things are going to stretch out here as these laps unfold. And you mentioned how impressive Mercy Chellengat has been. She's not afraid to go up to the front. She has that championship resume. So you almost wonder what brought her back for another year at Alabama. She just had some unfinished business, and part of that is right here, what you're seeing. This is an opportunity for her to stack that collegiate resume, and then potentially, in talking with the coaches at Alabama, eyeing eventually a move to the marathon in preparation for 2024 and eyeing an Olympic opportunity at that distance. But we've seen Katelyn Tuohy really develop in her race execution over her collegiate career. She's typically been one of those guns straight up to the front, but she has really developed in terms of her race acumen over a multitude of distance. Coach Hennes told her, when you're doubling, you really want to be careful about how much energy you're expending in that first event. Yeah, she's always been comfortable going out, getting up to the front in races, because that's what she did for so much of her high school career. Now, when you're among collegians, you're able to feed off of the field around her. So now she's comfortable, with throwing a surge in the middle of a race or running people down, as we saw her do at the NCAA cross-country championships.
So, John, you're down trackside, and you've had a lot of opportunity to talk to and watch Mercy Chelangat over the years. What is your take from there?
Well, two things. One, when you talk about Katelyn Tuohy, not only is she a great runner, but she's a great athlete. And maybe that's nuanced, but there are a lot of great runners in this field, but all around she is a great athlete, can do a lot of different things. I think she'd be a great soccer player and other things. And Lara, you brought up the coaches at Alabama, and it's been a strange couple of months for them as they lost their coach, Will Palmer, right at the beginning of the year. And Amaris Tynesma immediately left Alabama and transferred over to NC State. And Mercy, that's part of the reason she came back as a senior, was to run for Will. And that put some ripples in that team that they've had to overcome that have nothing to do with mileage and training. It's getting used to a new guy and a new voice in their head.
I'm just amazed that no one is challenging Mercy Chelangat, who has to be thrilled that she's being able to call the pace here now with 16 laps remaining. I know that a lot can happen, but she has really pretty much bided her time for the first mile.
And you're catching Tuohy glance over to the inside of the track. Not sure if someone is catching that left leg or following a little bit too closely, or she's anticipating someone making a move. But, to John's point about the coaching shuffle at University of Alabama, in talking with Nick Stenoff, he's been on the job 5 weeks. This is week number 5 for him. So this Alabama women's distance squad started the season with Coach Palmer, and then Dan Waters actually took over for a period of time. And these were all different systems that they were learning under and different styles of coaching. So such a testament to how adaptable those athletes have been so far this season, and some of the adversity that they've endured to get to this point. And man, it is a bunch up to the front. You need somebody to start, as we're getting here kind of to the midpoint. Somebody needs to break this race open.
Well, I keep waiting, but no one seems to be interested in doing that. And Mercy Chelangat's got to just be thrilled.
Certainly a big boost of confidence and comfort for Olemomoy to have Mercy doing so much of that work up front. They train each and every day together. They run all of their workouts together, and that has been a huge benefit to Olemomoy, who has had a bit of a breakout season. Coach Stenoff said that Mercy really gives Hilda that reassurance. They want each other to do well, but they're not reliant upon each other. They certainly want to carry one another, but he told them, do not hold back. If one of you doesn't go with the other, keep with your race plan and your race execution. You're looking here, seems like Tuohy is starting to get a bit anxious as that field is bunching up.
I just hate seeing that, because that's when you get crashes and burns. You've got to have some place to run. And an indoor track is much smaller than an outdoor track, and you don't want to be logging extra meters, especially at altitude. So there's a dilemma that develops as we start to see things just stretch out ever so slightly. But up at the front, the top 5 or 6, maybe an 8, are far too close to each other. More than half the race run now. For Utah, that is Emily Venters, the senior from Lawrence, Kansas. Really not much has changed from the beginning.
Venter's one of those, the beneficiary of the altitude, very well conditioned to enduring that. And I believe that this is her sole event. This should be her focus at this championship event. So one of those who could benefit greatly from challenging and pushing the rest of the field to be more aggressive in the latter half of the race.
Well, let's just count. We got 2 from New Mexico.
Oh, and there's a little bit of traffic right there. That's the trouble that you were alluding to, Dwight. Right there, we're starting to see it.
And then Chilanga swiftly goes from first back to tie for 4th. As I mentioned, 2 from New Mexico, 1 from BYU. We got Northern Arizona, Colorado, Utah. So you've got almost half the field that lives and trains at significant enough altitude where they wouldn't be as bothered by this. Now immediately Tuohy picks up the pace a bit with Ventnor right there. Olamomoy is also still there in 3rd. And Chilanga has got in a position where she at least has some room to run.
Venter's looking incredibly comfortable. She's run 15, 20, 37 this season, and she's a 2-time NCAA cross-country All-American.
Really, no one is out of this at this point. Chilanga now going wide and seems interested in taking the lead back or just staying out of trouble.
Of course, worth noting with Katelyn Tuohy, if it comes down to a kick, there are few people who can hang with her, the collegiate record holder in the mile, and she also split a 4:27 on an anchor DMR leg earlier this year. When she did that, she was really surprised how easy it felt to do that. She came off so much strength in cross country, and Lori Hennes said, we believe that strength is speed, and the miles, both open mile and within the DMR, that Tuohy has put together have proved exactly that. She found a lot of new strength en route to that NCAA cross-country season. And then when she transitioned over to the indoor season in track, she found a new level of turnover. We've seen her speed be even more impressive than previously.
1 mile remaining, and you can see that the pack is now stretched out significantly over the course of the last lap and a half. Chilanga back in the lead, picking up the pace. Tuohy right there. Olamomoy also there. Venters has now dropped back a bit into 4th. And I'm sure Chilanga is well aware of the speed of Tuohy.
They've raced before, they've raced at championship levels before, incredibly familiar with one another. It is threatening that you have the 2 Alabama athletes up there together that can push this and rely on one another, but you're starting to see Tuohy wind it up as they enter the backstretch.
Separation has happened between the 2 Alabama athletes and Tuohy. Coming up to 1,200 meters remaining. And what benefited Chilanga with that early, slower pace also benefited Tuohy. 6 laps remaining.
Olamomoy holds the advantage over 5,000 meters over Chilanga. She ran a little bit faster than Chilanga did this indoor season. Keep in mind, when Olamomoy ran 15:17 this season, she was just 2 seconds off of Katelyn Tuohy's collegiate leading mark. And she looks really relaxed in 3rd position. It seems like Olamomoy is just gauging on when Katelyn Tuohy plans her move to get past Mercy Chilanga. Hilda Olamomoy is certainly going to have to go with her and challenge her.
5 laps remaining, and Olamomoy has put it in a position. She's been in 3rd most of the time, which means that someone's been pushing the air aside for her. She's been able to draft ever so slightly, whereas Chilanga has taken a lot of air by herself, as has Tuohy, because she's running on the outside of the lane.
And I do believe we should see all 3 of these athletes back in the 3,000 meters. The last woman to win the 5K, 3K double, Carissa Schweitzer of Missouri, back in 2018.
Just 800 meters remaining as they go past the start finish, and Tuohy now goes into the lead. Olamomoy covers that move very quickly. Chilanga dropping back into third.
Olumomoy makes sure to not get clipped by Mercy Chelangat. You could see she kind of signaled to make sure she had enough distance to settle in just behind Tuohy of NC State.
Kelsey Chamel of North Carolina State, the teammate of Tuohy, now make her presence known, catching up to that group of three, but is she expending a lot of energy to do so that will hurt her in the long run? 3 laps remaining as they go past the start-finish.
This is where you've seen the maturity of Katelyn Tuohy growing at the NCAA level, plotting her move and executing with precision, not getting too anxious and making that move early in the race, knowing that not only does she have the kick, but also she's trying to be as tactical as possible to pull off the double.
The lapping Natalie Cook of Oklahoma State. The Cowgirls freshman. 2 laps remaining now, and Tuohy with a little bit of a gap that she was able to develop over Olumomoy, and she feels it and she goes with it. Olumomoy does not have a response, neither does Chelangat.
She found a crack. She found a crack in the door, in the window. She found that opportunity, and she had to exploit it, leaving nothing to chance. She respects the athletes in the field that are surrounding her. Actually, Dan O'Brien asked during the press conference about who her greatest inspiration is, and she said, it's my teammates, those who I draw inspiration from, who I train next to every single day, and you can certainly feel how she is channeling that right now.
Tuohy has put 20 meters on Olumomoy and Chelangat. She is going to be the winner unless she gets hit by a truck. So the sophomore from Stony Point, New York, who has 2 Wolfpack teammates in this NCAA final, is going to win the first of what would be, I'm certain, many more NCAA championship titles. Olumomoy of Alabama will lead the Crimson Tide to a second, third finish. That's 14 points for Alabama in this 5,000, but it was Katelyn Tuohy who ran a smart race plan with help from Mercy Chelangat the first 10 laps and manages 16:09.65 at altitude.
And waits there to congratulate her teammates. Also a big hug there for both Chelangat and Olumomoy as Katelyn Tuohy captures that indoor title. And feels like, she seems like that she has plenty left in the legs to come back tomorrow. She was plotting this move for a while. Takes a quick glance up at the clock, laps remaining, also that big video board to see where her exact positioning is. We talked about the turnover and how much she had grown within her speed over the course of various distances. That was what Lori Hennes was crediting her with over the course of this 2023 indoor season, and she stretches out that stride to precision over the course of the backstretch, throws in a big surge, and then as she ensures the victory, she gives the little Wolfpack signal there with both hands as she crosses the line. She is your NCAA indoor 5,000 meter champion, and she'll be back for more in the 3,000, and great to have a couple of teammates there with her.
The time is inconsequential due to the conditions and also as a result of the slow early pace. There are the official results with Katelyn Tuohy, the NCAA champion, a second and third place finish for Alabama with Hilda Olumomoy and Mercy Chelangat, so 14 points for Alabama. NC State with a first, fourth, so that's 15 points for the Wolfpack in that 5,000 meters, as well as an 8th place. That's another point, so 16 total points for NC State in that women's 5,000.
Next on the track, ladies and gentlemen, the preliminaries to winners 200.
And John Anderson, he's downstairs with the winner.
All right, well, we're trying to gather up all of the All-Americans from North Carolina State in that race. So we're waiting for Sydney Seymour. We've got water here for Katelyn Tuohy, the winner. We also have Kelsey Camille. First off, we'll start with first place, but slow pace for most of the time. You seem to let that go and be comfortable with it. Why? What was the strategy for you?
Coach Hennis and I decided to wait until 800 or less to go. Decided to try to save energy for the 3K tomorrow, and we just thought that with the altitude, like, it wouldn't be smart to hammer it. So I stayed patient, but I had to go to the lead a little bit early to keep my position because I didn't want to get boxed in. Just because on the tight turns it could be dangerous. So 800 to go, I started squeezing it down a little bit, and last two gave it a really good effort. Turned around and saw Kelsey coming in, and then Cindy, so that was awesome.
We talked about this a little yesterday, but moving up from second last year to first this year, the difference is what?
It's big. Yeah, it was really bittersweet last year, so I got my redemption, but we still got the 3K tomorrow to focus on before I could celebrate.
Kelsey, how much does just having the three of you in this race together help pull three of you through in the top 8?
I think it means so much to us. I mean, you could probably see that we were all like looking for each other a little bit during the race and like trying to key off of each other, and it's really comforting and really helpful for all of us, I think.
Gary said you don't look that scary at all to me, but what do I know?
Run angry.
Oh, how angry were you then as you were running trying to chase down an All-American place?
I was back for with a vengeance, as they say. Yep. I didn't have the best indoor season, but these guys always pushing me and encouraging me has been beyond what I can put into words, so I'm really grateful.
It is a wolf pack, 3 All-Americans, 3 gals that also helped them to the cross-country national championship. Congratulations to all of you.
Thank you.
Dwight?